Hey everybody, welcome back to my channel. I am here to review The Real Housewives of Beverly Hills. This is season 11, episode 5, The Divided States of Erika. So, a real boring episode. This should be a really quick review. I don't even think I'm going to edit much. Like I've stated in my past reviews, I don't know how much longer I can recap this show because it is dreadfully boring. But the only reason I'm sort of inclined to keep going, at least at this point, is because I just watched that Hulu documentary. I think it's called The Hustler and the Housewife, or The Housewife and the Hustler, one of those. And it's all about Erika and Tom and his, illegal shenanigans. And so I'm just really curious to see how the show is going to address this, edit it, what Erika's gonna, what she has to say. So we'll give it a few more episodes and see what happens. But I mean, at this point, nothing is happening. So let's just get into it. It's election day, and Kyle is throwing an election party. She asks all the women to come over dressed patriotically. The women interpret that in many different ways. Sutton comes over in this sort of like pop art dress, like a patriotic how? Where? Explain it. I don't see it. Renna comes over like in this blue sequence tracksuit. It's blue. I guess maybe now that I'm thinking about it, is it because she's like representing the blue state? I mean, I guess, but she does have her little vote barrette in her hair. Same as Dorit. She has the same vote barrette in her hair, but Dorit shows up in this lime green plaid, like, little skirt and jacket. She looks like a reject from the movie Clueless. And Kyle's like, is that your leprechaun outfit? Like, is that I think the St. Patrick's Day's party is like a few months away. And even her husband's like, that's not very patriotic. And she says, oh, yes, it is. Like, it's patriotic to me. And he's like, maybe if you were living in Ireland. Well, she's traveled everywhere, PK, so, she is multicultural. Don't forget. Anyway, Crystal shows up like in dark blue jeans, like a red belt and a white t-shirt. I mean, she's the most patriotic out of all of them, if you ask me. Kathy also shows up. I don't remember what she was wearing. Garcelle isn't there, nor is Erika, because if you recall, just that morning, she sent out the text to all the women saying she was divorcing Tom. So Crystal brings her husband Rob so that he can meet Mauricio and PK. Dorit's husband is there as well. And the men have a little segment. They're in the corner, and I think it was PK asks Rob, like, so how did Crystal, what did she think about like her first girls trip? Did she have a good time? And Rob's like, well, she had a good time with most of the women. And Mauricio's like, oh, are you talking about Sutton? Like, these women tell their husbands everything. And I mean everything, because Mauricio's like, yeah, I heard Sutton was trying to like return a sweater or something and walked in on her. Like, oh yeah, they tell their husbands everything. And then they kind of just joke about like if there's a men's trip, who would be invited, and it's really nothing. We see the women sitting around. They all got the text earlier that morning. Did anybody know? Did anybody know? Nobody knew. I think Lisa Rinna is the only one who says that she text Erika back, just kind of like, hey, I'm thinking of you. If you need us, we're here. To which, I think Erika just wrote back, yeah, a lot's going on, and kind of left it at that. I mean, yeah, a lot is going on. So, then Crystal brings up that when she got home from Tahoe, she weighed herself and she lost 5 pounds. And the women at first were like, oh, well, congratulations. You have Sutton to thank for that. And Sutton is like, I take responsibility for none of that. And Crystal's like, no, I don't really look at it that way. Like, it's really just a sign of like how stressed I was because, I have sort of issues with food. She shares that she struggled with eating disorders in the past. As she says, she still lives with it, but, it's under control. She's managed it, but, she just, she's open about it. And, the women all appreciate that. They think she's very brave to share, particularly Lisa Rinna, because her daughter struggled with eating disorders. And, you kind of just want to break all the shame that is around it and be able to have like open conversations about it. So they're all moved by it. And, we're learning a little bit more about Crystal. I think that's pretty much it for the party, except, we get this confrontation between Kyle and Dorit. So, before everybody got to the party and Kyle was setting up, she has a conversation with Mauricio, which is sort of intercut with Dorit when she's getting ready for the party, and has a conversation with her husband PK, and they both just sort of relay the story that on the plane ride home from Tahoe, I guess Dorit and Crystal were having a conversation. I don't know what the conversation was about. I don't know what they really said, but it looked to be a serious conversation. And while, Dorit was in the middle of saying something, Kyle kind of just like interrupted and inserted herself, like, well, I have something to say. And Dorit sort of very curtly told her, like, can you shut up and let me finish what I'm talking? And that apparently really hurt Kyle's feelings. She cried. Then Dorit was like, really? Did I really make you cry? And so now, Kyle's telling Mauricio, like, I really value her as a friend, so I want to talk about it, before this kind of, blows up into something bigger. Dorit's telling PK, like, yeah, this thing happened. I hope she doesn't make a big deal out of it, because as a matter of fact, like, she constantly interrupts me. She constantly inserts herself in. And I finally spoke up, like, and now she, she has a problem with it, possibly. She doesn't know what's to come, but it's going to come. So while at the party, Kyle pulls Dorit aside privately just to say, like, ask first, like, so do you value my friendship and us being friends? And Dorit's like, yes, of course I do, absolutely. And so Kyle's like, all right, then, then I need to tell you, like, if you want to, like, continue being friends with me, then, like, don't you ever speak that way to me again. And Dorit's like, really, Kyle? Like, you interrupt me all the time, constantly. And then we get these flashbacks of seasons past with, yeah, Kyle interrupting Dorit. I mean, maybe Kyle interrupts everybody, I don't know, but she certainly interrupts Dorit. And at one point in a past season, and I don't know what the context was, but, Kyle looks at Dorit and says, like, fuck you, Dorit. I'm like, I have to tell you, I don't speak that way to my friends. I've never told a friend outright, fuck you. Never. I don't talk to people that way, like, in general. Like, but, are these, you kind of have to wonder, like, well, is this because the cameras are around? Like, would Kyle really speak that way to a friend if these cameras weren't around? Like, is the drama sort of heightened for that? And also, like, are they even really friends? I mean, I wouldn't speak that way to a coworker. I'd probably get fired if I did. I mean, we have an HR department, but I mean, that's fine here at this job. But I mean, are you really friends? I mean, because Kyle mentions, if I didn't say it already, she sees Dorit as like a real friend, like even beyond the show, they'll be friends for life. But so why are you talking to her like that? Like, it's so rude. It's so hurtful. I mean, if one of my friends said fuck you to my face, I would be hurt, and I would definitely say something. And I think that's the problem here, because Dorit's telling Kyle, like, you interrupt me all the time. You told me, like, to fuck off, like, and sort of like, I've let you slide. I've given you grace. I haven't made a big deal out of it, but maybe you should have, Dorit, because I wouldn't, you could say to her the same thing. If you want to be my friend, don't you ever talk to me that way again. It's disrespectful, and it's rude, it's hurtful, and I don't like that. And maybe, Dorit has enabled Kyle to always interrupt and to sort of speak so ugly. I mean, I don't talk that way to my friends. I don't talk that way to my family. Like, I remember, and this is a little off topic, I used to watch Keeping Up with the Kardashians years ago. Like, I haven't watched that show in years. I'm talking like maybe the first few seasons. And I remember those sisters, Chloe and Kim, and they would like tell each other, like, fuck you, bitch. Like, I would never speak that way to my sister. And if my mom ever heard me speak that way to my sister, I would be dead. Like, and they would even speak that way to their mom. Like, is this how you, not in my mom's household. I'm just like, I just don't speak that way to the people I love and care about. I mean, I'm not saying I've never, maybe to like an ex-boyfriend that was getting on my nerves. I don't know. I mean, I'm not saying there isn't a place for that language. Sometimes you got to say it, but like to the people you really love, that you really love and value, it's hurtful. I don't know. Maybe it's just me. So, Dorit's kind of saying, like, basically, you interrupt me all the time. You've been really rude to me. And, and so she's like, but fine. I hear what you're saying. We're good. And, Kyle's like, are we really good? And she's like, yeah, we're good, Kyle. We're fine. And she's getting up and she's walking away. And Kyle's like, well, then, why are you walking away? She's like, because I'm done with this conversation. I'm over it. Dorit's irritated, clearly. She goes to PK, her husband, like, can we leave? We need to go. Because I guess her parents are visiting, or her dad is visiting, and they left him with the kids. So it's a perfect excuse to be like, well, I got to get home. My dad's in town, and I want to visit with him. And I mean, it's very true. But I mean, did she have to leave right at that moment? Probably not. Would she have stayed longer, had this conversation and confrontation not happen? Probably. But so PK is like, you want to like right now or soon? And she's like, no, like right now. And he's like, all right, you're the boss, we got to go. And Kyle asks her, like, really, like, you can't just stay a little while, have some food? And she's like, no, I got to get home, like, I want to visit with my dad. What can you say? Like, all right, you know. She leaves. Kyle's kind of rolling her eyes, you know, tells Mauricio, like, it didn't go very well. But, you know, I see Dorit's point, but I think Dorit maybe should have spoken up sooner. Yeah. Anyway, that was it for the party. And you know, it's funny because during the party, they're putting up like the results of like who's ahead, and you know, then they're like, who's winning, who's ahead. It's like, if I remember, like, we didn't find out for days. There was no like official like elected winner announced for days. So I think it's funny. You know, we get this little scene with Harry Hamlin and Lisa Rinna. You know, since the lockdown, he's turned into like Farmer John. He's growing potatoes and pumpkins. You know, because, you know, hey, Armageddon might be around the corner and we need to be able to feed ourselves. He's also set up like this huge like fire hose that's connected to like this pool of water, because they're living in like, I don't know, where they, Malibu Canyon or something, Calabasas, where, you know, the hill can catch fire and they need to save their house. So they're doing like this test run. You know, it's whatever. He asks Lisa Rinna, like, you know, have you talked to Erika? How's she doing? And she's like, I reached out to her, but she's really not saying much. And he's like, well, you know, when you do talk to her, give her my best. You know, I hope, you know, this doesn't get too ugly or nasty. You know, he's been through a few divorces himself. He doesn't wish it upon anybody. So he's like, so you're kind of stuck with me. Is that a deal? And she's like, yeah, it's a deal. I mean, he's cute. He's a cute guy. I mean, and she's just like, you know, I don't know what he's doing with me or why he wants to be with me. Yeah, at least I don't know, because she's crazy sometimes. But that's that. You know, we see Sutton and Garcelle get together because Sutton is in the market to buy a new Bentley. So they go to like the Bentley dealership. I know exactly where this is. They go for a test drive. They're driving all around Pasadena. I know that area. Like I said, I have a friend who lives there. I think the secret's out now. If you watch that documentary, it's where Erika lives. And, you know, Garcelle can't help but wonder, you know, she's getting, you know, Sutton's getting a new car, she's building a new house, she's acting kind of erratic. Like, is she going through midlife crisis? And Sutton's like, I don't know, maybe. And I also have to make note, because Garcelle, you know, shares that her first car was a Toyota Tercel, as was mine. So Garcelle's my girl. I mean, and I loved that car. That was like probably my favorite car. You know, she was such a good, fun, great first car to have. It was used. I mean, it was a used car, but I loved that car. So that's that, you know. Also, Sutton is planning like a girls' lunch at her house, and it's going to be Parisian themed. There's always a theme to these lunches. Like, can't we just have a lunch? But it's a Parisian theme because, you know, because of the lockdown, you know, she hasn't been able to travel specifically to Paris, where she goes 4 times a year at least to see, like, you know, Paris Fashion Week and whatnot. So she's planning this, you know, Paris, you know, themed party and whatever. So, you know, and the ladies love to get dressed up. Give them a theme and they go to town. But the funny thing is that Lisa Rinna and Kyle show up in the same dress. You know, Beverly Hills, I guess, is a small town when it comes to shopping, you know. Hey, I'm not even gonna go there. Anyway, so all the women are coming, even Erika, because like I said, this show, you are contractually obligated. Like, you can't hide forever. You gotta, you know, what's the word? You know, you got to face the music eventually. So she did RSVP. Sutton tells all the ladies when they get there, like, yeah, Erika's on her way. She said she was coming. Again, they all kind of sit around about, you know, how shocked they are. You know, Kyle says, like, you know, she just, because they all can't get over that they were just with her at Tahoe and you would have never known. And Kyle's like, you know, it's so strange because, like, if I were going through this, like, I would definitely be sharing this with my girlfriends. I wouldn't be able to keep it in. Well, I mean, maybe she doesn't see you as real, true blue, close girlfriends, Kyle. I mean, coworkers, like I said. I mean, I'm sure there's some friendships there, but I'm sure Erika's close, good homegirls knew what was happening. I don't know that you're, you know, in that circle of friends. But hey, she sent you the text. She gave you a heads up, so you didn't hear about it through the news. So there's that. You know, Garcelle's just kind of in shock because when she, the year before, because I think it was Garcelle's first year, she went out with Erika, kind of, I think, get to know each other. And she just, you know, she says the way Erika spoke about Tom was just so moving and emotional. And she could just see the love in Erika's eyes. And they just had a conversation about him while they were on Tahoe on the boat ride from hell. If you remember, you know, Garcelle asked, hey, how's Tom? And Erika said, I just talked to him this morning. He's back at the law firm. He's a workhorse. Like, you know him. Love that guy of mine. So, you know, Garcelle's just like, this is totally out of the blue for me. And, you know, I just wonder if she couldn't have just like maybe waited a little while longer. Like, why now? And Kyle's just like, why? Why wait? And Garcelle's just kind of like, Well, you know, what she wants to say, and it's kind of implying that he's old. Like, you know, he's probably going to die soon. I mean, I guess that's a little, oh my gosh, my battery. I hope it didn't stop recording. Okay, sorry. I guess she's sort of implying that he's older. He's 82. He doesn't have much longer to live. And I might be a little insensitive, but you never know. Like, I have a feeling this guy's going to live a while longer, you know. But we'll see. You know, we see Erika it's how the episode opened, with Erika, you know, driving to the women's house. She's like in some car. She's got a driver. I don't know if it's like an Uber or what. And she says, you know, that this divorce, there's many layers to it, and it is very complicated. And indeed it is. If you guys watched that documentary, and I wouldn't, you know, do I think he did these things? I do. Did she know everything? Maybe not, but I think she knew some things for sure. I mean, we never know what happens in a marriage and the discussions that are had, but I don't think she's 100% innocent in my opinion. But on the other hand, this documentary, we're like interviewing Danielle Staub. And she's an expert on what? Because she used to work at the same strip club as Erika did 30 years ago, and that makes you an expert, Danielle Staub. Yeah, so that's kind of what we're dealing with here in this documentary. Like some really interesting information, and you know, a housewife reject basically. So, you know, I think you guys should, if you haven't seen the documentary, watch it. You'll learn a lot. It doesn't make Erika look very good, in my opinion, but you know, she pulls up to the house, she gets out, we see her sort of walking up to the door, and that's where it ends, you know, to be continued. So we'll see what happens next week, what she has to say, if we're gonna learn anything new. But I mean, that's pretty much it. I apologize, what are we at, 16 minutes? I mean, if this review is sort of lackluster, it's because the show is. Like, I'm really trying here, but there's nothing. It's really nothing. But I am starting a new show. You Mean My Ex starts on Sunday, which is tomorrow if you're watching. I think I'm going to upload this on Saturday. And so I'm looking forward to that. And also, a few commenters suggested that I check out a show called Love After Lockup. I did watch that first season. Was that back in like 2017 maybe? So I'm familiar with it, but I mean, I haven't watched it since. I'm gonna watch that right now, and I mean, I saw like a trailer for it, so it looks, I think it's gonna be good. I mean, we got just a bunch of fools, but is that harsh? We're just gonna have a little fun there, okay? We're just gonna, you know, just harmless fun. So anyway, thanks for watching. Rate, comment, subscribe if you like, and I will see you guys next time. Have a good rest of your weekend. Bye. Like I mentioned before, and I'm gonna try to edit this out because it's so distracting. I hope I can do it. 7:54. I'll try to remember that minute, and we'll get it out. It's like impossible to film here. It's impossible to leave your window open. It's just the con of living in the city. It's all the time. I mean, are they parked right outside my building? It's not going away. I think I have to oh my God, where was I? I don't even know what I was talking about. Don't even know what I was talking about.